You're listening to Hockey Talk on the Rock
All right, stop!
with Laura and Keith.
It's interesting.
So let's back up a second.
He played absolutely out of his mind.
It made no sense to me.
And now, here are your hosts.
All right, here we go. We are back with episode 41 of Hockey Talk on the Rock amongst the disgusting BC heat wave right now. And we are sucking it up and doing it for you listeners, the three of you. And I'm committed to wearing the jersey, and it's killing me.
Yeah, I'm very impressed that you chose to
I'm doing
wear
it. I've done it
a
every
jersey.
episode. I gotta do it. I'm sticking with it.
I'm like, it's too hot for me, but you're repping the Montreal Canadiens, who, just like everyone predicted, have made the Stanley Cup final. Jokes aside, I don't think anyone predicted that at the beginning of the playoffs. Definitely not at the beginning of the year. But they have been on quite an incredible/improbable run, and we'll see how they keep it going, or if they have met their match in the Tampa Bay Lightning.
For sure. They wrapped it up a few nights ago against Vegas, and so happy to see Vegas lose.
Yes.
And they deserved the series. I mean, there was a couple games Vegas outplayed them, but not overall.
No.
They couldn't score any goals,
Yeah.
only from their defense, really.
Yeah.
And I was happy to see it. Unlike you, I'm rooting for Canada to bring the cup home, except if it was Edmonton or Calgary, of course. And it would be nice to see. So I'm going to root them on. And like I said to you earlier, I'm really looking forward to the Price versus Vasilevsky final, because I feel like, as I said earlier, that is kind of like the best finals goaltending match we've seen since Broder versus Wall, exactly 20 years ago. So I think that'll be a pretty interesting aspect to it, and I know you've got a take on the goalies as well.
I do. I think because this year, in the first round of the draft, there are two goalies who are ranked like they're going to go. One of them is meant to go kind of within probably the first 15 picks, and the other one probably a little bit after that. But I think both of them are going to go high, because this year we've seen that those goalies who are taken in the first round are doing really well, and kind of the recent, I guess there was always a bias against taking goalies too early, but recently it seems to be working out pretty well. So it's a copycat league, and I just think it's going to happen. There's a bunch of teams in kind of that top 10 range that I'm like, yeah, they could use a goalie, like Detroit, Ottawa, San Jose, even like Calgary. All these players, I know they have Markstrom now, but someone to...
Gibson's not going to be in Anaheim forever
Gibson,
either.
yeah, in Anaheim. There's just a lot of teams. I mean, LA, I guess they have, not Peterson.
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 But he's not young anymore either.
He's not young anymore. There's just tons of teams that have drafted really well recently that I'm like, what do you need? And it's kind of a goalie.
Yeah.
So be interesting to see what happens with that, but that is my hot take.
Yeah, and like I said, I agree with you, and especially since the scouting this year is kind of out to lunch, it feels like this is a year teams are going to be taking flyers, and why not on goalies, like you say, so...
If one falls, even Columbus, they have so many picks, but they do have two goalies that are pretty good, so... Anyway.
Yeah, it should be good, and then the other series that we saw wrap up was the tight 1-0 Game 7 win for Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Gotta stick with my pick,
Exactly what, I expected. Like, at no point in that game did I feel scared that Tampa was going to lose, or did I believe that New York was going to come back. I just felt like Tampa has it, and when they get into that Game 7 game, they have so much experience with them, and they'll just look like a well-oiled machine.
They do, and like we talked about, their record after losing the game in the playoffs is just like...
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's unearthly almost.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Vasilevsky too in that, but it was kind of funny that we both thought Kucherov was going to be out. He was in. He didn't look really like himself. And then do you see the questions today?
Yeah.
But they're like, oh, and how about that injury from Game 6? And you're like, what injury?
Yeah, of course.
In Mother Russia, injury injures you or whatever,
Yeah.
He's going to be playing, I guess, and.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be shocked if he doesn't play just because it's the final. But this, you got to think, it's a big story for Montreal, because without Kucherov, they aren't as good. Obviously, he is one of the top players in the league, but they're still very deep. So we'll see what kind of Kucherov Tampa gets.
Yeah, and then I mean, other something else to quip about who's available for the rosters is we know Dominic Ducharme's been out for a couple weeks with the COVID protocol, and I saw Yoel Armia is going into protocol and won't travel with the team to Tampa Bay for the first 2 games.
Which is big too. He's been good for them.
Hopefully nothing else crops up for them in terms of the COVID stuff. Yeah. Because that would be a real bummer. That would be a real bummer for this year too, to really have like a series that got, influenced by COVID, because it's been the story for so long with everything. It would suck to kind of have it come into the sports world too. Mm-hmm. Sure. So on that note of the finals, even though the bracket is over,
congratulations.
And I'm victorious. It kind of threw me off last time when you conceded because I didn't really know it was over, but it's officially official.
Yes.
And it was kind of a drubbing.
It was a complete drubbing.
But do you want to make a prediction for the final? And also, historically, I do a Conn Smythe pick for each team as well.
Sounds good. I think we can both do it, just a pick if it's the same team, it's the same team kind of thing, right? Yeah. Okay, so I still think Tampa's going to win. I have a bit of reverse psychology here because I feel like every time I've picked someone to win, it's been the opposite, and the only teams that I got points for were people that you picked to win, and then I got a point because I just had to pick the other team. So part of me was like, maybe I'll pick Montreal because I really think that Tampa's going to win. But no, I'm just sticking. I'll say Tampa. I'm going to say 5 games. I just think they're too good, and I'm going to say that Braden Point gets the
Conn Smythe. Okay, I'll take Tampa in 6. I'll give Montreal 2 games, I guess. I really want Montreal to win, like I said, but I don't see it. And I guess if you're going to take point for your pick for the Conn Smythe, I'd take Vasilevsky on Tampa.
I think that's the other.
Montreal, would it be Price? Probably. I think that would be my pick.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and I almost wonder about Caulfield.
Yeah.
He scored some big goals for that team, but I don't think he's overpriced, but that's like the only other one I would consider to this point.
Yeah, because they haven't had like one leading contributor really besides the goalie.
They're just deep.
Yeah, so it'll be fun. And then moving on from that, there's only been a little tiny bit of news around the league this last week, and
I was pretty stoked on this one because it means that I didn't lose another thing.
You didn't lose the coaching carousel predictions because Rick Tocchet did not end up in Seattle. No one was talking about Dave friggin' Hakstol.
Yeah.
He's the new coach. I couldn't believe it. Once I heard that there was the connection with Francis and Botterill and Team Canada, I was like, okay now I kind of get it.
Yeah.
But as a Flyers fan, I did not like Hakstol. Like, the new shine wore off on him very quickly.
Yeah.
He made pretty bonehead decisions, it seemed like, quite often.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I found was his goalie challenges were, like, so out to lunch. There was a couple games that I saw the refs be like, are you sure? And he's like, oh, F yeah. Like, I'm definitely trying. I need to lose it, like, every time.
See, I thought that only happened to the Canucks. So that is nice to know.
No, Hakstol, just his judgment on that type of thing. Maybe it's better now.
Yeah.
Like, they've talked about a ton since the hiring. Like, Bruce Cassidy was terrible in Washington.
Yeah.
Been a really good coach in Boston, so maybe they could have that effect. I was definitely surprised. I thought it was going to be Tocchet.
I thought that you were going to win that for sure. Like, once, Green signed with Vancouver, I was like, yeah, it's going to be Tocchet in Seattle. So I was equally surprised, but I was happy because I didn't want to lose 2 things in 1 week. So it was nice. But it'll be very fascinating to watch what he does with Seattle. I mean, we don't know who any of the players are, but we'll soon. And, it's going to be interesting to see him kind of work, try to get that Gerard Gallant magic with this group, because it will be the kind of misfit kind of identity again, and because Vegas did so well in their first year, now everyone's going to be predicting that Seattle will do well, I bet. So we'll see. I mean, a lot of it is to do with coaching. I'm surprised to see him get another shot, I guess, so soon. Although it's not really that soon. It's probably been like 3 years or something.
Yeah, it's been 3 years, and he's been with the Leafs. But, I mean, he was an assistant coach, and wasn't he doing, like, the special teams or something?
Yeah, he was doing the special teams, but not the power play, because that was Malhotra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's why the power play sucked.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, interesting to see. I'm happy because they're going to be a rival of the Canucks, and I don't think he's a good coach.
Yeah.
So, whatever. Beyond that, did we talk about how Gallant got hired in New York? Did we?
I don't know if we actually did touch on Gallant.
Okay, Gallant got hired in New York. The Rangers. Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was a good hire. I don't like the Rangers. I thought it was a good pick, though.
I think for that group, it's a really good pick, and we'll see what the Rangers do, because I still think that they're going to be heavy into trying to get Eichel out of Buffalo, even though they'll probably have to give up more just because they're in the same conference, and yeah, like, it'll be really interesting to see what group he gets to work with, but I think he'd be a good coach for that kind of young core, plus, you know, the older guys.
Yeah, bringing it all together.
Should bring it all together. New York's going to be really fascinating to watch here in the next couple weeks, because, yeah, I think regardless what they do, they're going to do something that's bold. They just have enough young players, they have enough picks that they can do something. So.
Yeah, they're kind of, and they're a little further along than like an LA or an Anaheim or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think we didn't talk about yet how Lou Lamb got his second straight GM
of the year.
Yeah. So not really surprising, I guess. The Islanders did do really well. They kind of fell down
what
the stretch.
he did in the off season, though.
So they talked about this on the radio a lot, and
Okay.
I totally agreed with them that like they don't do the voting on the GM award until after the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Which is really weird because they say
weird.
it doesn't factor in, but then why wait?
Yeah.
Right? So, of the nominees, 2 of the final 4 teams
We're in the final. Yeah, exactly.
were finalists.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like...
Well, I would give it to Bergevin personally over Lou.
But that's the thing. If they did it at the end of the season, I don't think Bergevin would have been one of those 3.
No, he wouldn't have.
And the Islanders, too, maybe even, because they were stumbling throughout the end of the season, too, and ended up 4th in their division, so...
And I did I liked his trade deadline moves. I thought he did some pretty smart stuff, but I just don't think he did that much to the group that he already had this year.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I thought it was kind of a weird pick, but, I mean, Lou is Lou.
Yeah, for sure. I guess that has a little weight to it. Sticking with the Islanders, I wanted to ask you, for protection, do they have to protect, or do they have to leave one of their goalies unprotected? Sorry.
I don't think they have I think they have a third guy. Is it Schneider? But did he actually sign with them in the end?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But they must have a third goalie, right?
Like they don't have to make that choice between Sorokin and Varlamov?
No, but they have to expose someone, right? So I don't think they have to protect Sorokin, and I think they can protect Varlamov, so whoever their third stringer is, I think that's who they expose, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
But I don't think Sorokin's played enough games.
Yeah, I feel like I would have heard about this one a lot more if they had that choice to make. You know?
I'm not even sure about their defense, because you'd think that they might be a team that would want to protect 4 if they have to protect everyone.
You think so? I don't think Dobson's eligible yet.
Is he not?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
A couple other things that we've been kind of kicking around this week is, now that Vegas is out and we're all stoked, they don't have to protect a goalie.
No.
But with their cap crunch, I think we both agree that Lehner is going to be their goalie moving forward because he's got the long-term $5 million a year deal.
Yeah.
And Fleury just was a Vezina finalist, and he only has 1 year left on his deal. So we're both betting.
Yeah.
Fleury's going to be in a different city next year. You think?
I think he's going to end up back in Pittsburgh. There was tons of rumors last year that Pitt tried to reacquire him, and I think that is only going to be stronger after this Vezina caliber season, and Pittsburgh falling in the first round as they did, and the goalies basically being the cause of them falling in the first round. So I think they figure out a way.
I 100% agree with you that Pittsburgh's going to address their goaltending. I've seen Freddie Anderson tied to them quite a bit, and I could see the Fleury thing happen. My gut's telling me Edmonton, like, it's well documented, they need a goalie. They want to bring back Mike Smith. I don't he had a good year, but if they come back with Smith and Koskinen for a 3rd year in a row, if I was a fan, I'd just start burning all my stuff.
What I was gonna say, it'll be really interesting if they do trade Fleury in Vegas, because the fans just love Fleury. They do not like Leonard. They're all behind Fleury in Vegas, and I know it's a new team, and it's how many fans do they have? But I will be interested to see if they trade him, what the reception is for the team, because it's so new.
Yeah, I guess the return dependent, hey?
Yeah. Anyway, continue your thoughts, sorry.
Yeah, no, that was it for me. I'm picking Edmonton for the Fleury stakes, and then we kind of just were jumping around. Since I brought up Edmonton, we talked about the Nuge. Yeah. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to predict that he's going to not end up in the deal, but as a free agent, I think he's going to sign with Vegas and instantly become their number 1 center, because they were exposed pretty bad in that last series about their lack of center depth. Yes. William Karlsson, a decent number 2 center, probably a really good 3rd center realistically.
He had the one really good year, but that was kind of
the misfit anomaly.
Exactly,
So Chandler Stevenson, probably a really good 4th line center, maybe a 3rd line center, but having him on the top line, that's probably they got to be addressing that, right? So I'm picking the Nuge to sign in Vegas. And what do you think? Do you have a
So
spot?
I could see him easily going in Vegas, but just to be different, because he's local to BC, I think he's going to end up in Seattle, because I think they're going to be the only team that can offer him the money that he wants. And I think that it'll be close enough for home for him that he'll like playing in Seattle.
Yeah.
And
I
for
can see
some
that.
reason, that's my gut saying, but I know there's tons of rumors about Seattle with free agents this year, just because, again, if they play their cards right with the expansion draft, they're going to be in a really good position for free agency, because no one's going to have money, and they will. So
Yeah, I've read a lot about how they're going to take a lot of unrestricted free agents in the expansion draft so they can enter the free agents market with like
Tons
a ton
of
of
cash.
cash. Yeah.
So yeah, that will be, again, something that's coming up really crazy soon here, and will be fascinating to watch what Seattle does, or if this is all just rumors, and how competitive a team they build off the front, and if I'm more mad about these expansion teams than I was after Vegas, because that was pretty annoying for me as a Canucks fan who's had to watch, the Canucks be awful for a good number of years.
They don't know the pain yet.
Exactly, they don't know the pain. They think they do, because they've lost in the conference final, and it's like...
and the cup final,
yeah.
and they kind of got screwed by the Sharks or
They
whatever.
did, but that was hilarious.
But not really, because who lets in 4 power play goals on 1 power play?
Exactly.
So...
Yeah, anyway, the off-season's upcoming. I know both of us have said we're really excited for that. So.
Yeah, it's hard to not be excited for the final, but I'm kind of looking past it for the big things coming up this summer. And we've talked about it many times, and we will actually get to an expansion draft prediction episode coming up, probably just before we do a mock draft thingy.
Yes, we're doing both of those pretty soon here. I think it would be nice if we had the expansion, if the list.
Yeah.
But if it's too pushed back, then we can try and do our own. But
yeah,
I think it'd be nice to kind of wait for it to see.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So we'll play it by ear from now, and we'll be back. I think probably realistically with some news. Maybe halfway through the finals, we can do another one.
Yeah.
And if not, maybe we'll just wait till the end and celebrate the Stanley Cup with Tampa or Montreal and talk about what's going on moving forward from there. So we'll have some more award winners between now and then too.
Yeah,
to
and the
talk
big
about.
boys too.
Yep.
Although I think we probably know who's getting what.
Yeah, but we'll see. You never know.
You never know. Crazier things have happened.
So I think that's it for us. That's
Yeah.
it for you.
That's it for me.
That's it for me. Okay, all right. Well, this has been episode 41 of Hockey Talk on the Rock, and thank you for listening. We will be back.
Woo!